All right, guys, thank you for tuning in today to Seven Figure Fitness Business. And we are very fortunate to have AJ Morton of the FitPro Mentorship Review on today. Just a really quick intro about AJ. FitPro Mentorship Review is definitely the biggest independent review site for the FitPro mentorship industry. It's extremely important because there's a lot of very shoddy mentors out there making big promises and not delivering. So speaking to AJ before we got started, the group's up to 4,700 now. And if you're not in that group, you definitely should be. Hey, AJ.
Hey, man. Thank you so much for having me on here, dude. And thanks for that nice welcome. I appreciate it.
We're going to get cracking today with our list. We've got a really, really useful list for everyone involved. And it's going to be, what are the 5 key criteria that you use, seeing all the good and bad in this industry? What are those 5 key criteria that you use when distinguishing between the legitimate mentors, which seems to be in the minority, versus the sham mentors, the ones that are making the big promises and not delivering?
Yeah, totally. So I know we'll kind of jam out on each of these, I'm sure. But the first one I like to point out is just how they come to you, right? Like, how are they approaching you? Is it one of those things where someone is all of a sudden, some account you don't know about is in your Instagram DM, and it's like, hey, you look like you're in the FitPro space. I think you should follow ABC person. I'm not a huge fan of that kind of stuff. I'm more about like not cold DMs, not doing like that kind of stuff where it's like this like off account that kind of feels weird, and all of a sudden they have a message for you about some other mentor. Like, I'm very careful as to how they come to you, because in my opinion, if someone comes to you in that way, they're probably going to be teaching you to do the same thing. And so I just think it's like you have to decide if that aligns with a methodology that you want to continue doing moving forward or not. And then it doesn't necessarily make them scammy. I just think that, I just think people shouldn't be showing up cold for the most part.
You know what's really funny about this one? We have a bit of a confession to make, because ultimately we've never done any organic or cold DMing at all in fitness. And when we've sort of been doing business, we've been doing all sorts of different methods and things like that. And we tried a little bit of cold DM, and nobody in our team liked it because there's never a positive response. And so we pulled the pin, realizing that it's just not the right way to go about things. And, obviously you always try things, make mistakes and evolve, but it's very clear from using that approach for a short period of time that it's very undesirable and it doesn't lead to positive results for anybody involved. What's your thoughts on this, G?
Yeah, I think that things have changed in the industry as well. Like, while a cold DM method might have worked in the past because people are like, oh, this is new, this is exciting, I'm talking to someone different, the sophistication level of buyers has dramatically increased. So when you're in the personal training industry, it's impossible even for me to go like a week without like 3 cold DMs of people asking me to do something, right? So it's an oversaturated industry where I really do feel that cold DMing is declining. And the same is going to happen in fitness. While people might be getting some success with it now, so it takes it's a very long process, it's painful. And over time, that's going to diminish to the point where people just get frustrated because everyone's being cold DM'd because so many people are teaching the exact same thing.
Yeah, definitely. But, to add to this, and, because I can speak around you guys, because I know your intentions, I have vetted your guys' program before, and I know what you guys are about. One of the other big things that I look for that's not on this list today is ownership, right? Like, the ability to be like, yeah, we tried some things and we didn't get a great response. And we're like here to be the first people to be like, yeah, we've done cold DMing before and it wasn't good, or we're not going to do it anymore. That to me speaks volumes of just like the integrity that you guys operate with. Because I think ownership is a really big deal in an industry where most people are just rocking way too big of an ego. That ownership would just do horrible things to their narcissistic personality. So I appreciate you guys coming forward with that too. I think it's huge.
Yeah, that's great. What I want to ask you as well is like, what do you see as the desirable ways for people to be approached? Like, say, for example, if I'm thinking about getting some help, I don't really know the lay of the land that much. What's the best way for me to sort of find the right mentors, do you think?
I mean, I always like when someone comes to me and they're looking for a recommendation, I don't give them one initially off the bat. I always say, I don't like giving cold recommendations. Is there anybody who's already on your radar, who you're following or who you resonate with that you kind of want to look into? right? And so then they'll give me some options. Oh, I see this person's marketing, I'm in this person's group, and this person's in my DM right now. And then we kind of go from there. I think if the content is out there, I think you should let people resonate with it as they want to. I think you should offer them opportunities to get value from you via challenges, via, like get your first 5 client challenge kind of a situation, just where people get value from it first and have just a no pressure opt-in situation. And then on the back of that, absolutely, once you've shown them value, you have permission, that door is open for you to have that relationship and have that conversation. People just aren't looking to be bent over right away anymore, where they were more open to it, a while back. So to speak.
Terminology. So what would be the second thing that you look for as a distinguishing factor?
I am a big proponent of being watchful of how a coaching program brings you into it. And what I mean by that is it a high pressure sales situation? And are they giving you a fast action pricing situation where they really, really want you to give up money on the call and make a decision on the call? Yeah. I personally believe that people should be able to get off the call and come to you, from a calm, good place and be like, yes, I thought about it and I want to work with it.
Yeah.
Because if it's done the other way and it's done out of scarcity and rushing and, like messing around with pricing, not giving them the ability to think about it, I think it brings the coach into a situation where they're going to have false expectations of the coaching program because you've created a sense of rushing and scarcity for them. So they'll be like, yeah, sure, I'll pay $12K instead of $8, but like, I better get that back like real quick. Right. And so then it kind of changes their behavior when they come into your program, and you might have a headache client on your, no fault of theirs.
I suppose what you're really saying there is your role is, you help a lot of your members and you protect them from making emotional decisions instead of, emotional decisions are always going to lead to that fast-paced decision, and come in and be able to make a decision that's far more logical so they're making the best decision for their future.
Exactly.
I know you've got a bit of a scar with this one as well, AJ, because you basically created the group because you had someone who was very pushy that basically, I can't remember the pricing, but it was going to go up a significant amount if you didn't make a decision right away.
It was the spread I just used. Yeah. I was quoted at $8K and I had to get off the phone to talk to my wife. And he's like, okay, if you get off the phone, it's going to be $12K. And like, we didn't have the money regardless. So it really didn't matter at that point, but it really rubbed me the wrong way. And, my wife being the, very supportive person that she is like, obviously like 8K, 12K, we don't have it anyways. We want this, for our life and our lifestyle and our business. And so we went ahead anyways. But yeah, like I would have got divorced if I spent 8K without telling my wife, which would have cost me much more than that 4K spread that he created on the call.
Well, I mean, Andrew and I, like even when it comes to, and Iggy as well, when we make business decisions, like we've done so many mentor programs because we believe in it, but none of us would be able to get on a call on their own and make a decision. It just makes sense, right? With this sort of a price, like, usually when you look in mentor industry, somewhere between usually like 8 and 20K, for example, maybe even 8 to 30K, it's still reasonable that we want to get off the call and say, hey, we thought this was really cool. Let's do it, right? And then we all go back in. So, I do definitely feel that if someone's going to get too pushy on a business mentor sales process, that I'm definitely like leaning out pretty hard at that stage.
Yeah, totally. It just doesn't go over well usually with people, and then they end up kind of regretting it. And I don't know. I feel like it creates immediately a bad mentor-mentee relationship.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it comes down to like the sophistication level of the buyer, and I think that's something that your group does really amazingly well. Is a lot of people come in and they don't really know what to expect. Maybe it's their first time on a phone call, but by joining your group before they make a decision, their sophistication and expectation of what's going to happen on those calls, like very much the fact that you guys actually do, reviews in that group. Do you want to share a little bit about what that review system actually looks like and how you actually determine what a good mentor is, and how you allow your members to pretty much talk about their experiences?
Yeah. So, I mean, as far as reviews go, any member can make a review of any, product or service or, mentorship or anything like that. We have a templated review sheet that people use to format their responses. But what I do as far as who we bring in to actually promote in front of the community is I go out and I curate and find high integrity programs like yours, right? Where I'm going out and I have heard, great things in my group, and I've heard great things online. And I'll go out to someone like, you guys, and be like, hey, you guys are being mentioned in my group. Here's what my group's all about. We're looking for high integrity people. It looks like you guys are doing a really great job. Do you want to hop on a call sometime and, we can just chat and see what you're doing? So I kind of like audit them and I interview them very much like this, where if this process didn't really feel good and I have a really good bullshit meter, then I would be like, yeah, like, nice to meet you. But otherwise, I'd be inviting you into the community to offer value to my people, because my goal here is to showcase the people who are doing a really great job in the fitness space and introduce them to my people who are looking for high integrity business coaches so that they don't get ripped off time and time again. And so once I found someone who I think is doing a really good job and I invite them in, I actually get access to their program and I vet it myself. So I actually go through their modules to make sure that it has the deliverables that are advertised on the front end. I then get dropped into their support community so I can make sure that people are being supported in a way that is consistent with what they're promising on the front end. So I kind of end up being like this customer service liaison between members of my community and programs like yours.
Yeah. Well, see, I mean, I've got a rule. Like if ever, say, for example, I'm talking to somebody on a sales call and they mention a mentor that I know has a particularly bad reputation, I would never say anything bad about a particular person. But what I usually say is, hey, look, are you a member of AJ's group? And then I'll just say, hey, look, go and check out any mentor that you're considering working with, because it is just a lot of people come in and I think they do fall prey to the fact that a lot of these mentors that aren't so good at delivery, what they are still very good at and the way that they keep their business afloat, despite their bad reputation, is really great client acquisition processes. They have incredible marketing. There's some that you see that ads pop up all the time. And, I hear from people all the time in sales calls that, hey, this person, shams me out of 10K or something like that. So it is a bit of a scary concept. And I think the idea of doing your due diligence before making a life decision like this, it doesn't seem too unreasonable,
No, not at all. It wasn't always available.
Yeah.
I think like one of the things that, as AP kind of mentioned there, that's really, really helped us is, when people need to go away and think about it, when people need to make a logical decision, we hold a lot of power because we know that we're reviewed on your website and on your Facebook group, and we know that it's really good. So we're quite grateful for the fact that, hey, there is this place where people can go, because I know when AP is on the phone, it's very easy to just send people there. They can, talk to people in there, have a chat with you, and just kind of understand what we are a little bit more and make that logical decision.
Yeah.
No, it's right. Like if you're in this industry and you're doing a great job, my group is like the best thing since sliced bread for you. But if you're not doing a great job, which is probably why like a lot of people that I used to be acquaintances with are completely ghosted on my feed. I don't see them anymore. But yeah, if you're not doing a great job, like you're probably not a big fan of the group, which is understandable. But I'm here to level the bar. I'm here to cause mentors to up their game, because they should know that someone's actually looking and paying attention and talking about how we should be buying programs and what we should be looking at. Like that we're having this conversation right now should hopefully be like, oh man, like hopefully someone's watching this or will watch it later and be like, okay, I'm going to start putting out a better product. Like that's my goal. I'm not, like I'm trying to level the playing field.
Which is what makes you just about the most powerful Facebook group in the industry for reviewing mentors, right?
I would say so. Yeah, I'd say you've got all the mentors like who are not doing a good job terrified, because their reputation is going south very, very quickly. And there is one more thing I wanted to touch on just before we moved on to number 3, and it's like the whole buying on the first call. And I think like it's important for people listening not to tell themselves that it's essential to have to not buy on the first call. The reason being is that there's some people who usually tend to go through life being incredibly risk averse, and it's actually been a large part of them not being successful to date. And so I often get on calls with somebody that I know needs a program and I know this is right for them. And that's the whole demeanor that I enter into any sales situation is like to find sales as fulfilling and as enjoyable as I do, I have to get into the mindset of the buyer and think, I'm doing them for their interests. I'm doing this for their interests. And so there are some times where somebody needs to make a decision. And I think I know for a fact if this person gets off the phone, to think about it, if there's no real legitimate reason to do so, that can be really concerning as well, because then what happens is like I reach out to them and, 6 months later, they're still really struggling and miserable. So the main thing here is just like, as a salesperson, the responsibility that I take is sort of distinguishing whether they have a legitimate need to think about it. And as soon as I determine that that's there, like a legitimate partner excuse or something like that, I'll always let them go. If it's more of a personality thing where I just want to put on my coaching hat and think I can help this person be successful in the next, say, 6 months, then there are some times that I'll go for that. But, you have to draw the line in the sand as to when it's appropriate and when it's not.
No, I totally agree. I mean, AP, like your job as a salesperson is to get people to sign up for your program, right? And like you're doing a disservice if they don't do that because you want them to because you know your product is good, right? So yeah, I agree with you. Unless it's something frictional, unless it's like, like if you're like a little bit worried about money or like, whatever,
Yeah.
or if it's a trust issue or something like that, like if you feel weird on the call and it's too high pressure for you, then get off. But if everything's good and you're talking to someone on the other end who feels like they're going to put some skin in the game too, and they understand you and you feel supported and your only worry is like, I just don't, that's a lot of money, then I would do that for sure. Because I've also really come from a past of being very risk averse as well. But I've invested in lots of mentorship programs. So I totally hear that. And I very much agree.
Well, we say all the time that leaning into our first ever mentor, which, G basically had to push me off the cliff to do it, Charlie Valor. I mean, he's still the best mentor we've ever worked with. You won't have heard of him because he's not in the fitness space, but he works with a lot of big names behind the scenes and he's extremely good. And if we hadn't worked with him, which I was terrified to do so, we wouldn't really be where we are today. So it is an interesting way to look at it. Now, we're up to number 3. What's the third on the list?
Yeah, so we were kind of touching on it a little bit before, but I'm very interested in how they market. What does their marketing look like? Is it really flashy? I would just really like to think that we're beyond being so vulnerable to flashy marketing, like people standing on private jets and cars and boats and big houses and stuff. But I just don't think that's the case because there's a couple really big names out there who are consistently just doing the same stuff and still ripping people off. So we still need to work on how smart we are as buyers and as consumers. But I just would not be like, it doesn't do anything for me anymore. I see right through flashy marketing. Like, I don't care how much money you have. I don't care what boat you're standing in front of. I don't care if it's yours or if it's rented. I don't care about any of that stuff. So I don't think you should either.
Yeah. Have you seen that traffic and funnels ad that's going around lately? I love that ad. It's this ad where they're taking the piss out of this whole thing, right? So it's like this guy that looks like an absolute asshole. He's kind of looks like the guy out of the thrift shop, but like done like sort of with fancy dress. He's got like a Lamborghini and a jet in the background and like this massive wad of cash. It's obviously it's a joke about the whole thing, but it pretty much summarizes the thing that you're talking about.
Yeah, it's ugly out there. So I'm hoping, people who are watching this, that, we could be smarter consumers and not fall for that kind of stuff because it doesn't mean anything about them or their product. It just means they may or may not have a lot of money.
Sure.
They're being sold the lifestyle, but they're being sold the dream. It's kind of like, I have this, I can give this to you. But a lot of the time, you can also think of it, someone who really is driving flashy Lamborghinis around, they're splashing cash, they've got hot girls with them everywhere, living that sort of dream. They probably don't have that much time to then be helping you for $10,000 a year, helping fitness program, right?
Exactly.
They're going to be living the life that they're portraying. But, I suppose that's what, part of it also is like, that's what marketing's about. It's like selling that sort of dream,
I get it.
right?
I get it.
And it's just like, it's being able to detect the difference because there are some really great, genuine programs out there. But, there's also that concept. And I suppose that's what marketing is. It's like getting people to take action. But I totally agree with you. Like, those are the people that we generally want to avoid.
Yeah, definitely.
It's also a part of like understanding the substance behind it. So say, for example, I will make no apologies for the fact that I want to be, financially well off. And that's definitely a goal that I'm always shooting towards. But, the idea of like seeing the stuff that they have, it's usually a lot less motivating to me. When I tend to get really motivated by a program is when I see the mindset, the behaviors, the thought processes of the people. Like, so even just, when I see what certain people in the industry, like a Hormozy or like a Taylor Welch or whether or not people like their programs, they're very motivating to hear the way that they speak. And clearly, they're people that just think on a different level to the average person. We had Matt Ryder last week, same thing. You get around those people, you sort of see how they live their life and how they act. That's the thing that people should really be looking for, is that kind of ability to see things differently.
Yeah, I think that's it. Rather than looking for flashy, looking for intellectuals. I suppose that, the level that we're at now, like I'm always a sucker for good marketing. I'm a marketer and I still fall for it every single time. But no, like, you put your logical hat on and you think about it. And the people who I'm really attracted to these days, when I'm looking for a mentor at this stage, it's like super, super intellectual people who are just like next level smart because that's my ambition. That's where I want to be. I want to be at their level where I'm able to communicate, talk at their level, and effectively the direction that I want to go with my career. But even then, I still look at those Lamborghinis and so forth, and I just think for 1 second, and then it gets me for 1 second, and I hit myself in the head a little bit and go, no, next.
Okay, what's number 4, AJ?
Okay, number 4 is, do they discuss their own success or the success of their clients? I think this is really big because, again, I hear certain mentors about how much they're spending on ads every month, or how much money they make every month, or what their annual is, but you don't hear anything about what the clients are making. I want to know that your clients are living the dream. I don't care that you are. If you're living the dream, it just means that you've sold a lot of stuff, and it speaks not to the quality of the stuff. It just means that you sold a lot of it, and great for you. But I want to know that because of the value that you've given to your clients are living those dreams, buying the Lambos, all that stuff. I would be cool with that kind of marketing, that your clients are all killing it, leveling up their life. You doing that does not really impress me.
I'm just going to say something here. That is the best advertising campaign I've ever seen. Imagine if you have all these clients who are all driving Lambos.
That's impressive. And
that's impressive.
Yeah, and then you're driving some modest thing or whatever, but at least we know, okay, your clients are getting results. You're serving them well. You're not just collecting a paycheck and buying all this stupid shit.
Yeah. That's really funny. You could totally do a campaign on that. Totally do a campaign. That's a good goal. We've got to get there, that we've got enough clients that we can run that ad.
There we go.
The other thing that comes up of this, and we had a funny call out, I think you saw it a couple of weeks ago, AJ, with Hector Gonzalez, who we didn't know who he was, right? And so he did a call out post on us. A great guy in the end. He contacted us and apologized. But basically what it was about is that sort of constant thing that does happen in this industry, where not only are mentors splashing the cash or putting their stats up there, to brag, but the thing that makes it so, disingenuous is that they're not even bragging about the stats from their fitness business. They're bragging about the stats from their business coaching business. And, the more we've been in the industry, we've actually got more and more insider information from people that know different mentors and say, hey, look, he or she doesn't actually have a successful fitness business. They don't have a 7-figure fitness business. They're claiming that they do, but all of those awards or all of that money that they're showing, that's all from their business mentoring. And, that kind of means that then the money that they're bragging about earning isn't even related to what they help their clients achieve. So it's almost irrelevant.
Exactly. It has nothing to do with it. Yes, it's totally separate. So be really mindful of those bank account screenshots and stuff like that, because you don't know.
Hey, I've sold lots of people like you into my program. Yay.
So you should also buy it, because I've sold a lot of other people.
Yeah, no, for sure. That's a solid one. So what's the last one? What's number 5?
I think people, this one's kind of simple, but I think people should take some time and audit the career feed of someone. So I don't know, the other day, someone asked in the group if anyone's heard of so-and-so mentor. And then someone in the thread took a screenshot of that mentor being mentioned as part of another mentorship program, saying hey, I'm in week 1 of this program. It's going really well, blah, blah, blah. And the timestamp was from not that long ago.
Sure.
Okay. So look back into these people's feeds. Oftentimes I can see, because there's this epidemic of overnight business coaches, you can literally see in their feed that they were they were fitness coaching. And then all of a sudden their feed changes. They had some sort of epiphany where they realized they really need to help other FitPros do this. And to be honest with you, what really happened is they realized that their friends list is more full of FitPros, potential FitPros, than it is with potential weight loss prospects. And so they make the switch, and all of a sudden they claim to have a successful fitness business, and now they are a business coach. And so I just think people need to really take the time and look at that. If they flipped, I'm all for people entering the space. I just think you have to earn it. I think you have to have clout in the industry. I don't think everyone should just all of a sudden think they can charge $10,000 for everything just because you claim to be a business coach. Yeah, so I think you should check people out and talk to other people about them and look at their feed and see when they started posting business stuff versus fitness stuff.
Yeah, it's definitely big. I think that there is a huge perception with people sort of, there's not even a perception. It's a thing that I've definitely noticed. I wrote a post about it the other day, but it's, people who basically, they go through, they have a semi-successful fitness business and they go, you know what, I want to get out of the day-to-day of this. Their business isn't even set up that well with systems. So they're kind of stuck in it and not really enjoying it that much. And so basically they just go, you know what, there's more money in mentoring, and then they pivot. And then of course, they charge $10K because they've done enough of motivational work to be told that you can do anything you want to do, right? And that can be negative because it means that you've got people out there charging money that they really shouldn't be charging. And the reason that's the case is because the value isn't there. Like if you pay someone $10,000 for mentorship, there's an understanding there that you're going to be making far more money than that back by the time the program finishes. And if that's not the case, something's gone wrong.
It's like, I think that people are drawn to, the amount of money that you can charge for coaching. They kind of look at it as, hey, I haven't been successful bringing on fitness clients because, I need more of them to be making 100K a year. Then you look at business coaching, it's like, hey, if you bring on one client per month, you can make 10 grand. And it's just the complete wrong way of looking at it because you're effectively chasing money rather than wanting to help people.
Right. And really it's going to backfire anyways because you really can't help people. And so you're going to end up not having any clients anyways. Like at some point, someone's going to figure it out, or they're going to come to my group and, you're going to be outed for not knowing what you're doing and charging an exorbitant amount of money for it. When look, this industry just needs people who are like legit and here for the right reasons and actually want to make an impact. Like if you can help and if you're experienced in it and you truly know how to do what you're telling people that you can do, then great. Please come in the space and do a great job and serve people. But if not, start low. And like if you want to be a business coach, cool. Start charging people like $1,000 and just help them out. If you don't know what you're doing, don't charge like you do.
Yeah. I've just got one final question, AJ. With the way that your group structured their reviews, I've seen them before because although I'm not allowed to be in the group now as a mentor, before we started Systems by Design, I was in your group, so I got to see how it runs. Now, I loved the review system because there were certain things that were done in a certain way. I've seen reviews before that are clearly written by like a mentor spy, where it's like, so-and-so was amazing. And it's like, there's nothing of actual, there's nothing of value in the review. It's just a puff piece. So you don't allow that. I remember that. It's like, there has to be certain things like, what did they promise? What did they deliver? What was the ROI? Like, what's the actual structure of a review in the group?
Yeah, exactly that. We have people do like when they hired them, the price that they hired them, the name of the program at the time, the way that they found you. So like we're talking about how you're marketed to, and then what the deliverables had within that program, and then what the ROI is. And then we really try to have people not be emotional about anything. We want facts, and because we want people to make proper decisions. So if it's formulated and not quite that way, and it's too emotional, or it's not thorough enough, or not giving well-rounded enough idea of what that program is really like, I might reach out to that poster and be like, hey, do you think you can add something to it, or what was your ROI in the program, and things like that. Because otherwise, my group, like AG was saying, they're getting really smart, with being consumers. So when a post doesn't look right, I don't have to say anything. The group's going to be like, this looks like your mentor told you to do it, or like you didn't have an ROI, or what was your ROI? Like they'll pull all the unknown questions out. I don't even need to do it anymore.
I remember that distinctly. There was a mentor that was getting crushed at the time. And then a woman came in and wrote this glowing review, but it was basically, there was nothing about it that was clear. It was just like, you're wrong. They were a great mentor and they helped me change my life. And it was like, no, that's not going to stand. Like, show us the evidence. How was that the case? Like, you got to give us details. And, there was just silence. So in a case like that, you can tell that that's just a bogus review that's been planted.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Like I always tell, members and anyone who's looking to make a review, everything has to be factual. Anything that seems kind of wonky will be investigated, because I'm not here to ruin people's reputations unnecessarily, or at all for that matter. We just want people to have all the facts when they're deciding, on a mentorship program. So even if they went with one of the ones that didn't get such great reviews in the group, at least they know what they're getting into.
Do you have people in the group that you feel like spend so long window shopping, terrified of making a wrong decision that you kind of have to give them a shove into some sort of action?
Yeah, definitely. So recently we started doing clarity calls in my group. We'll all get on the call with 4 members at a time for free, and just give people clarity on either the next steps they need to take in their business. So if someone's stuck on content, or they want sales objection help or something like that, I'll point them to resources in the group if I can't help them myself, because I don't claim to be a business coach. But we have over 50 free trainings in the community, so there's plenty of stuff in there. A lot of them from you guys too. So I'll give them resources, but I'll also give them recommendations. So if they are, if they're looking for something, or if they're trying to decide between recommendations or mentorship, I break that down on the call with them and to get them to get comfortable. And then obviously it's up to them to pull the trigger. But yes, even though I've been ripped off to the tune of like 30K now in bad business coaching programs, I'm still not jaded. Like, I want people to get on a mentorship program because it's going to change their life. Mentorship is still the fastest way to collapse the time, towards being successful in your business. So with that being said, yeah, there are people who window shop for a while. And I often do, like mention in the group, hey, if you've been in here 3 months, 4 months, 5 months, and still haven't made a decision, it's you. Like, you're the reason your business is not quite where you want to be. Like, there's plenty of mentorship programs out there. There's stuff in this group that you can easily action and reach 5 or 10K months on its own, let alone, being there and just trying to sift through the reviews. It's not that helpful sometimes. So that's why I've made myself more available to actually get people to take action and make progress in their decision and in their business.
It is so important. I mean, we did an episode a long time ago now about the major criteria that we saw in a successful mentee. And number one of the list has still and is always fearlessness. And it's not stupidity. It's not like, action without sort of, clarification about the consequences, but it's making an assessment of risk, and obviously weighing up the factors. And when we sort of show people that there's a proven system, be it us or somebody else, we've had success, other people have had success. And if you're struggling, at a certain point in time, those people have to have the courage to move forward. And if they actually assess the people that are already where they want to be it in fitness or anywhere else, they'll usually find that those people are more comfortable with risk than most people. They make decisions based on information, but they don't take too long to make those decisions.
I agree. Yeah, I think, again, I try not to overwhelm people with information. There's so much out there. But what I always recommend people do, and this is just from like a business coaching standpoint, is get no more than 2 or 3 that you're really, are your top 2 or 3. Get them all on the phone or their teams on the phone so you can get all your questions and concerns answered. Lay it all out there for them. And just pay really close attention to how they're answering your questions. But talk to everyone. And again, pay attention to how they're answering your questions and concerns, because the person who you trust the most, the person who makes you feel held and supported, and you feel like they have some skin in the game with you, like they're going to go on this journey with you, that's going to be your next business coach. And you should pull that trigger right there.
Awesome. AJ, it's been great having you on today, man. Obviously, we could have you on many, many times because you have such an amazing overview of the industry, arguably better than anybody else. You see everything that's out there. You know all the new players, the old players, who's got a good rep, a bad rep, etc. I think anybody that's watching this live or on the replay has to get into your group if they're not already a member. And we just really appreciate having you on today, man. It's been awesome.
I appreciate you guys, man, so much. Thanks for having me on, and thank you guys for doing what you do for the industry. You guys are great.
Awesome. Well, guys, thanks for tuning in again today. Make sure you like and subscribe to the podcast on whatever platform you're listening, and we'll see you on the next episode. Hey!